Well, I remember almost drowning a couple of times. Now, this is after the boat has sunk. I'm floating alone in the ocean. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Mark, my friend, good to see you again, sir. How are you?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing so well. Miss you, man. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Yeah, pleasure.
I know a lot of people are very excited to see you as a villain because you don't often play villains. But I got to admit, as a fan, man, my first introduction to you was in '96 in Fear, seeing you play the insane boyfriend of Reese Witherspoon. I'd love to know, what did you learn on that movie about the art and the joy and the freedom of playing a villain that maybe came into practice here almost 30 years later?
Well, I grew up watching movies like The Shining and, seeing Cape Fear in the theater in 91 and, Line of
Do you
Fire
tell
with Malcolm.
Scorsese and Jack Nicholson that whenever you get to work with him on The Departed?
Of course, of course. And look, my hairdo, it's paying homage to all of these great character actors, and my dad, I've always gravitated towards those kind of roles, and certainly those kind of roles in films that I've loved to watch as a fan. And so, they don't come around that often. I had actually pitched Marty the haircut that I have in this movie, in The Departed, which he thought was a bit extreme, but Mel was very receptive to it. But it's such a fun role, and it's so unexpected because people think, okay, if these three people are on the plane, Mark Wahlberg's there, he's the pilot, he's going to save the day, he's going to land the plane, and to have all that fun happen as soon as that hat comes off and the big reveal, with such a wild character, is a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of that, I got to feel like the shaving of your head has got to be probably, at least I was looking over your career, the biggest physical sacrifice you've ever made to pull off a character. I'm curious, up until this, what would you have said is the other biggest physical sacrifice you've made to pull off and make a role work, and how did the two compare?
I would have to say the dramatic weight loss for Boogie Nights, or for The Gambler, or the dramatic, bulking of Pain and Gain, or Deepwater Horizon. Movies like that. I always hope that there's something that I can do mentally and physically to prepare for a role. You got 3-4 months, whatever it is. I mean, The Fighter, I spent 5 years training to make that movie. It was a go, fell apart, but you don't pick up where you left off after you stop training for 6 months. So to lug around all that equipment, speed bags, heavy bags, double end bags, all that stuff, setting them up at various hotels, dragging around my trainer with me while I was making another film, constantly working on that to look believable as a welterweight champion. Those are the things that I always want to do. You always want to have something that you need to do to prepare. And, you get the part, you become the part, and then with no great effort, you play the part. And then hopefully you get through it, you get your life back, and.
I appreciate the sacrifice, man. I got to tell you, shifting gears, I host a series here in Chicago called The Moments That Made Us, where I look back at the most iconic moments in movie history with people who were a part of them. You have a lot to choose from, but I've never gotten to talk with you in all of our years about The Perfect Storm. And I would love to talk about shooting, if you don't mind, that big finale, the giant wave moment. Obviously, it's a lot of special effects, but I'd love to know what you remember about that shooting that day alongside George, and what direction maybe you got from Wolfgang Peterson in regards to pulling off what you knew was going to be the big moment on the big screen.
Well, I remember almost drowning a couple of times. Now, this is after the boat has sunk. I'm floating alone in the ocean, kind of talking to my girlfriend, to Diane Lane's character. We're in a tank, so we've got safety precautions in place, but we actually have the waves are really going at their highest in the tank, and in order to stay in place, focus was so critical for the shot with such a long lens. You had to have divers underneath the water holding my feet in place. So they didn't know where I was in relation to the water as the waves were going. So they're just holding me there, and I'm getting, sucked under the water, and, trying to deliver this thing. Wolfgang wants a tear coming from the right eye, at this certain part of the speech, and I'm trying to say this. And, the whole day was dedicated to just getting that one shot. It was, that whole movie was one of the most memorable cinematic experiences, and one of the best experiences I could have had as an actor, for sure.
Well, I'll always forget seeing it, or I'll always remember seeing it on the big screen, man. I always end our interviews the same way, man. I appreciate you. I love you. I thank you for taking the time, man. I know you have a busy schedule and you always fit me in, and it's not lost on me. So thank you very much. I appreciate
can't wait
you.
to see you in person.
All right, man. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, buddy.
All right, Jake.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.